Good afternoon everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. My name is Robyn and thank you so much for joining in on another Sunday vlog. It is an absolutely beautiful afternoon and I thought I would sit outside, and to be honest I am actually pretty exhausted from the week that we've had, just finishing off moving and getting the garden set up over here. So I thought I would sit down, obviously with a cup of tea, going for my Rosella mug today, and I'm drinking a green tea which is absolutely delicious. So make sure you grab a cup of tea or coffee or whatever beverage that you like. And today I'm basically just going to be sitting down and giving an update on what the garden looks like and also kind of what we've done and what the plans are for the garden. But mainly I'll be talking about 5 different tips of how to know what to grow in pots or containers for small space gardening, kind of continuing on with a few videos on small space gardening before we set up our large permaculture style garden. So as I say in all my videos, I'm a massive believer of just gardening wherever you can. Often I feel like a lot of people just don't really garden because they don't think that it's going to make a difference for the environment, or they can't grow things, it's too hard, and lots of other different excuses. And to be honest, gardening is hard, it's not easy, but there are a few things that you can apply if you are wanting to start gardening in a smaller space and just make it a little bit easier for yourself as well. Because if everyone grew something, the world would look completely different and we would have a completely different world. If billions of people are starting to grow their own food, it releases that demand as well for large-scale farming, which is really detrimental to a lot of agricultural areas. So I'll run through the 5 tips first and then I will give you a sneak peek of the garden and how it's going. But first, tea. Super nice. Okay, so the first tip when you're starting out gardening and you're not too sure what to grow and it's very overwhelming, the amount of different seeds and plants in the nursery stores and hardware stores, is to really start small. Even a small little pot like one of those down there will make a really big difference. And starting small doesn't mean growing all of your produce. It can be as simple as starting some greens, microgreens or herbs. Those are the 3 main things that I recommend to friends and people starting out gardening, because they're things that you're actually going to use, that you probably use in an everyday situation, and they're all pretty hardy and easy things to grow. Some of my favorite microgreens are broccoli sprouts. They actually do taste like broccoli. A lot of microgreens will actually taste very similar as little tiny shoots to the vegetable that they actually produce. So shoots such as radishes are going to have that really peppery flavour, same as rocket, and a lot of the brassicas such as cabbages and broccoli are going to have that more kind of cabbagey taste. So they're great to add to salads and have so much nutrients in them. Same as greens, they're pretty self-explanatory. Even growing mini lettuce, you don't have to grow the full head of lettuce. Even when it gets to about this stage, you can start kind of snipping it and harvesting it, and you're getting that fresh produce and all of the minerals and vitamins that are in that little piece of lettuce. And similarly, herbs are such a great thing. Pots, little pots like that, if you have, 1 or 2 or even 3 on your balcony, and you're growing things like chives and parsley or coriander, things that have so much nutrients, you're definitely going to see benefits not only in your dishes but your health as well if you start to eat your own fresh produce while saving money on herbs, because herbs in the store are very expensive and very overpriced. Again, you don't need to grow it until it's a massive big bunch and then pick it all. Even just a few leaves here and there really makes a difference. I feel like this is going to be a long video, so I'm gonna roll on a little bit, go a bit faster. So number 2 is to start out with lists. When you're looking at what to grow and you've got a massive list of what you want to grow and what you can grow and figuring out what space you have, is to just start with a simple list. So I'd recommend having 2 lists. The first being 5 different fruits or vegetables or herbs or whatever of produce that you actually have in your fridge or your kitchen that you use on an everyday basis, and align that with your climate. That'll start cutting it down a little bit to see what you can grow and what you actually use in your environment. So once you've got that 5, also have 5 things that you just want to try to grow. Gardening just shouldn't just be about the regimented growing fruits and vegetables to then eat. It should be kind of fun and experimental as well. And the fun side of it is what kind of keeps people going and keeps people wanting to grow more and try different things. So include some things that you're interested to try eating, even different edible flowers as well. Have a little bit of a look online and kind of get a few different ideas. So once you've got those 5 and the 5 from your pantry, then narrow it down again and pick 5 from each of those. And then you'll have a good mix and a good little bit of diversity of things that you know you're going to eat and things that you want to try as well. Obviously, if you're strained for space, swap it down to 2 or 3 depending on the space in the area that you can grow. Number 3 kind of flows on from that one, and that's to grow diversity. It can get a little boring if you're growing kind of 1 or 2 things again and again. So just try different things, and I can be completely honest and say I have tried so many things in the last year because this was the first year of me properly actually having a garden. And I have crossed so many things off my list that I know I will never grow again. So having that diversity is not only good for you to see kind of what grows best and what you like to eat, but it's also good for the environment. So growing and gardening for nature is such a big thing, and although you'll be doing it anyway if you're growing a plant or growing your own food, having a little bit of diversity and including things like flowers, even if they're edible in your garden, will attract pollinators and kind of creates its own little mini ecosystem, particularly if you are in the city, in a concrete jungle. There's not going to be a lot of pollinators around naturally, and so having these little plants and flowers provides such great habitat and food for different creepy crawlies and little bugs around. Number 4 is to grow upwards. So when you're thinking about what to grow, if you can, I'd really recommend, particularly if you've got a small space, don't just think about the flat space that you have, think about the vertical space as well. Even if you have a pole or something around on your balcony or deck that you might be able to grow beans up or something, or if you've got railing along the deck, I'm just looking at the one right here, all of that is perfect growing material as well. And you can definitely grow things like beans in pots like those behind me that will successfully trail up. So you can grow things like beans, even mini cucumbers. I'd probably steer clear of the larger cucumbers if you've got a really small space, but you can grow them to a mini size and just harvest that. You're probably pushing for pumpkins and watermelons if you're in a really small balcony apartment, but you can get dwarf beans and dwarf snow peas as well that don't grow as high, that are a really good use of that little small space. And number 5, when you're deciding what to grow, it's kind of obvious, but just know your climate and what you can grow in. So if you are in an area that gets frost, make sure you're kind of knowing a good idea of when you might be getting a frost or when that frost usually stops and you've got a free growing season. It's always good to know, and also particularly just where the sun is going over. If you've got morning sun but no afternoon sun, it's probably a great thing to grow different greens and herbs that don't like the really harsh sun. Also, if you've got no light at all, just a window kind of area, then microgreens are absolutely great, and mini greens and that kind of thing. So hopefully those 5 tips were kind of helpful if you are starting out and growing different things. It's also something that I need to remember every time again and again. And it was actually really good for me to write these down and remember them, because I am trying to apply all of those into the smaller space that I have right now in the raised beds. I don't think you need a lot of money or different things to have a garden, but if you garden smart, then you can definitely save a lot of money. So I'm going to put a little bit of an overlay in right now of what the garden looks like. I am basically focusing my attention around the pool area because it is getting to be the middle of summer, and that is the coolest area of the garden. And it's a really nice shaded area over there that gets really dappled light throughout the day. So I think it's going to be perfect for growing different greens and all these different things that I talked about in this video. I've also done a little bit of a sketch of what I want the area to look like, and I am super excited now that I have this kind of image and I can see what it's going to look like, and I know it's really manageable. I kind of tend to get a little bit overwhelmed by the large space, and I'm trying to take kind of little bits at a time to do this garden, which I would definitely recommend doing as well, rather than kind of switching from here to there throughout the garden and not doing it all properly. So I'm trying to landscape that area mainly through edibles. So I know that pawpaws and papayas grow really well here, so I'm wanting to have a row of them where there's no plants at the moment. Then I've placed some raised beds around the area. This whole area is going to be covered in mulch as well, so it'll really kind of have that kind of back to Eden style, I suppose, but also mainly I'm putting it down because there's a lot of snakes in this area, and if I have a nice plain surface, I'll be able to see the snakes a little bit better than I can right now, particularly with all of the baby brown snakes around at the moment. So where the raised beds are, along the fence behind them, I'll be putting some native lily pillies and feijoa trees. Scott's dad is from New Zealand, so I feel like that's a good choice to bring in some feijoas to the area. And they're also such a pretty foliage plant as well. even if they don't fruit, they're really pretty plants. And then in front of that, the plan is to plant some native raspberries. So there are a few different types of native raspberries in Australia, and they have a really beautiful green foliage with big plump red berries on it that slightly resemble the look of a raspberry but are a little bit different and have that same beautiful flavour. So I want to have kind of a hedgerow of them in front of the larger hedges that are going to grow up, and then just a bunch more different edibles that are ground covers around, particularly native violas and other different native flowering plants that are edible. I really want to create a mini rainforest microclimate in there because it is so shady. A lot of the shaded plants hopefully will do really well. The thing is with that, I need a lot of nutrients in the area. Rainforest plants tend to like a lot of nitrogen, a lot of dead matter as well, and that's where hopefully the mulch is going to come in and provide that for all of these trees. It's going to be my little retreat for now, my little kind of safe space and an area that I can recharge and basically create life and beauty, and apply all different permaculture principles to this one little area. And then of course, if I get really hot, I can just jump in the pool. It's a win-win situation. So that is about it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the few little tips on if you're looking to grow a few little plants in your area, and also kind of following on my garden journey as well for this area. I'm really happy to be settled and doing what I love, being outside, making YouTube videos. I'm really hoping to make a lot more coming up leading up to Christmas. I really want to provide a lot more value, and I always appreciate if you comment down below in the comment section what you like to see, if this video was helpful or not, and any feedback that you would like to give. Make sure to please like this video. It really helps me out to know what videos do better than others, and definitely subscribe as well if you are not subscribed already, because I know there is a lot of people out there that seem to watch my videos but they're not subscribed. So if you would like to join this community of sharing different growing knowledge, sharing permaculture knowledge, and really just learning how to start gardening, definitely subscribe for more videos like that. We always have a good time, and there's just lovely people that comment on my videos all the time, and I am so very grateful and thankful for you all. Right, I'm gonna go and finish this, watch the beautiful gum trees as the sun sets, and enjoy my evening. So I hope you're all having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next video, happy gardening everyone. Bye.